Today on Locked On Rockies, the news about the moving of the Oakland A's and the vote had me thinking, no matter how bad the baseball can be, I'd still never want to lose the Colorado Rockies.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because everydayers will tell you this is your home for the Locked On Rockies podcast and your Rockies coverage right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can help the show. You can be part of the show. You can let your thoughts be heard. Your thoughts about the Colorado Rockies, put them in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section, and you can check us out there. You can check out the video podcast. You can check us out on your favorite streaming services. We really appreciate you for making us your first listen of the day. We're free and streaming on those streaming services, so don't miss out on that. Been following this team my entire life, been bringing you your daily Rockies talk here on the Locked On Podcast Network for over 3 seasons now. I was going to do one of our Rockies in review today, but the A's story and the A's vote just had me thinking, and I kind of wanted to talk about that. And again, it's a reminder. Today is a reminder of the complicated nature of sports, the business side of sports, and the sliminess of sports, the potential for sports. There's a whole lot of stuff mixed in here, but above all, I think it goes down to there's a lot of people now. There's a lot of people who don't have a baseball team to root for anymore. People aren't gonna, not every fan is gonna want to follow the team. There's a deep connection to rooting for the team that you either have a family connection or where you grew up. And that means something. And for the fans of Oakland sports teams, all of which that had history and legacy behind them, have been ripped away in what I view as more greedy on the eyes of and shady action from ownership than cities. Because guess what? Billionaires, guess what? Sports owners, guess what? It's an expensive business you get in, and you can't expect someone else to pay the bill for your big toys and your big investment all the time. Public funding matters, and it's certainly a thing that helps get projects done, and it's a way for the city to invest into the things too and buy in as well. But it's a bunch of horse, as I hear David Sampson say, horse hockey, to think that these owners can't do more. I know David Sampson wouldn't agree with that, but they have so much wealth, so much power, that they can buy a baseball team in 2005 and fail at getting a new stadium, new deal, anything done, all while being one of the most bare bones, stripped down baseball teams, and then the audacity to just point the finger at somebody else. I think it's incredibly, incredibly unfair. And if you aren't following Jason Burke, he used to host a Locked On A's podcast, he just dives into it and does such a good job of diving into why this matters and the language used and the fact that there's so much fluff of this being posted up to be something that's a good thing and it's going to be a slam dunk, but the concerns are still there. And that would really stink if it happened to the Rockies. So I wanted to kind of keep talking about that and diving into that today. So we're going to continue that conversation. Before we dive fully into everything, just want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So I kind of want to set the stage. I want to set the picture. With the A's leaving, this is a team that has been around longer than the Rockies. Longer than the Rockies' existence. They've been in Oakland. There's been issues. You know, there's been long lines of issues and things like that. But imagine having decades of investment, of connection, of focus, and of passion for this team, only to strip it all away, paint the city of Oakland as a villain that they couldn't get the job done. And I'm John Fisher. I've been so nice. I've done everything I possibly can since buying the team in 2005 to get this done. And I know you're sad. I'm sad too. Sure. Your crocodile tears mean nothing to the people that you're taking another sports team from that region away. And yes, there's a lot of teams there. And yes, it makes sense that pro sports are in Vegas. But like, it's so weird to me when these things happen. When a team moves and when things like this happen, and when you try to replace the legacy of a team like the Oakland A's in a new place, in a market that I'm not convinced is going to be better than Oakland. So you build up all this pageant. I mean, what's the point of all the pageantry of sports and buying in and becoming a fan long-term when they could potentially move at any moment? Why should, when billionaire owners can pull the rug out from underneath you as a fan really at any moment? Obviously, it's much more complicated than that. Stadiums and deals and things have to go through a long process. But why invest so much? What happens to the Oakland A's fan that's been a fan for 50 years now that this team's gone? It doesn't matter. You just start new ones, right? You just got a brand new fan base. Vegas, they're hungry. They're ready to go. That luxury F1 race isn't really selling out that much. And the Raiders often seem to have a lot of away fans all the time, and the stadiums, schematics, and all this stuff isn't as much of a slam dunk as continuing to invest in the community that you've been in for years and years and years. It was a missed opportunity by the owner of the A's. The owner of the A's mishandled his relationship with the city of Oakland from 2005. And sure, the city's probably not innocent. And I know I don't know all the details. I'm a Rockies guy. But it doesn't sit right with me to have to always be like, oh, we need the public's funding. And then, hey, come on out. We need you to come out. Where are the fans? The fans aren't out here. We're just not getting the support. All while turning a blind eye to all the crap that you do to make it hard to root for this team, to make it hard to root and follow this team. And while the Rockies don't have to worry about the team leaving anytime soon, it's a case of you have to give the people, you want all these things from the people, and then when the people want things from you, it's whoa. Can't do that. Oh, couldn't we? No way can Oakland ever afford a player. No chance. Eat into my bottom line? Have you seen that stadium that I haven't done anything with since 2005? They have money. They have power. They have influence. And to just strip away all the stuff that makes sports great, which for me is legacy, and the impact sports have on the community. And yes, you can start it all over, hopefully. But that's what expansion's for. Not for a guy to have the potential to cash out. I mean, all this just seems like it's his opportunity to cash out. And yes, he's a businessman, he's an owner, it should be. But when you're buying sports teams, you're not operating with fully smart, solid economic stuff. You're buying a sports team and everything that comes with that. And he didn't just buy any sports team. He bought a sports team with a history of legacy, with a history of winning, with a history of success, and a unique style of play and approach to the game that revolutionized baseball. But instead of fully buying into that, instead of fully buying into Oakland and to the people there and to the fans that have gone and supported, and there were fans across this country traveling, begging him to sell, to keep that team in Oakland, because it matters for those people to be there. It's a two-way street. And for the owner of the A's to oftentimes just flaunt and look like he just he writes that letter today to try to sympathize with all these people he's disappointed. Just a bunch of baloney to me. It's just nothing about how that process with the A's went seems right to me as a sports fan, because I would be royally mad if the Rockies did that. I don't think the Rockies are frustrating in a different way, but at least we can sit here and say that they are pretty big about being in Denver and pretty big about being involved and developing around the area and building up. They might not be always as focused as building the Rockies as a baseball team up, but certainly the brand and being in Colorado and that they certainly believe in and building up as well. And it's just, it's just incredibly disappointing. But would the Rockies move? Let's talk about that coming up in segment number 2. Let's dive into the people that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. FanDuel's got you covered for all your NFL action this season, and if you want to get some bonus bets, well, listen up, because during this NFL season, America's number one sportsbook, FanDuel's got you covered right now. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options. That includes spreads, player props, over-unders, and lots more. You can check out all the action for yourself at FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon for all the action this NFL season. Why not believe big in your Denver Broncos? If that moneyline bet hits, that's $50 in bonus bets for you when you visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. I was kind of teasing there, and I was kind of saying how it probably wasn't going to happen, and the investment made. It's a luxury to be a team like the Rockies and not have to worry about these things like relocation and things of that nature. I think the pro sports relationship and the Rockies getting in and being able to build up when they did build up is crucial. And I don't necessarily think they're going to be moving from Coors Field anytime soon, even though Coors Field continues to become one of the oldest stadiums in baseball. I think they're going to be able to make improvements of it on the inside, because it certainly doesn't look like one of the oldest stadiums in baseball. But that might change, and things will get complicated. Things could get complicated, and things could move, and there could be all sorts of a different mindset. But when it comes to the Rockies moving, I just don't think this would be ever something that we're going to have to worry about for a long time, even with the team's poor performance. I just think that the team, one, they don't have to deal with the attendance issues. I mean, that's the biggest difference between the A's and the Rockies. People show up to Coors Field. And you know what? I don't know about all the reasons why it's probably a pain to get to the Coliseum and the upkeep. And it's just so, that's part of the thing too, man. It's like, the Coliseum, it's been a dump since we've had it. It's always been a bummer. It's always been run down. It's been run down since we bought it. So what did you do that whole time? Your team played baseball there for almost 20 years under your ownership. Back of the mind, selling it the whole time. That's just like so skeezy, man. I just can't get behind how the A's were moved. I just really can't. And in this way, like I do feel like it is a one pro of Dick Monfort is his commitment to being here, his commitment to Colorado, his commitment to being, connected to the area. So at least that's one thing we're not necessarily going to have to worry too much about. I mean, you never know. The right deal for anybody and any time could come up. Who knows? It's big business. It's big money. It's it's powerful people trying to throw around their power and influence to see what happens. But I don't think we have to worry about that anytime soon. Even if the Rockies continue to be one of the worst teams in baseball, I don't think they're going to move anytime soon. I think that the attendance. I mean, when you're selected to be able to host the All-Star game on a flip of a switch, when you're able to be able to manage that, when you're able to not deal with attendance issues the way other teams deal with attendance issues, the Rockies are just a walking money pot, baby. That's the thing. Dick Monfort can be criticized all he wants for the baseball stuff, but boy howdy, has his purchase paid off for him. I don't know all the details, but I believe he's got a pretty darn good deal with the city. I believe the lease is something really nice and long too. I think with the city as well. I think I'm just bad. That was stuff I was hearing and stuff. So I'm not for sure, but at least I can sit there and say I do get some sense of relief that the Rockies won't move. But it doesn't excuse Dick Monfort's other issues. Because I mean, I really don't know what I would be really confused. I'd be really conflicted on what to do with my baseball fandom if the Rockies moved. I don't know what the A's do. I don't know what A's fans do. I mean, for diehard sports fans, it's not easy to just immediately change your stripes, change your colors, change your loyalties, change who you follow. And for some people, it's a massive part of their identity, myself included. Rockies baseball has been synonymous with my personality, my interests, for as long as I know, and people know it. I mean, I wear a Rockies hat almost every day. I'm one of very few people that display Rockies flags and memorabilia, had it on my dorm room wall, door and everything. I would honestly be really, I'd be in a tough spot. I would. I really feel for Ace fans right now. To have something that's really important to you stripped away. I mean, the Rockies are my connection to my hometown. With the way my life's gone, my family's moved out. I don't get to go back to Denver nearly as much as I'd like to. I still have my buddies, but a lot of my buddies have also moved out. The Rockies are the one thing I can tell you about in Colorado. Denver's changed so much, I don't know where to tell you to eat other than Big Bill's. Traffic's gotten even worse going up to the mountains. But the one thing that I still have, that I know for sure, that I am completely up to date on, are my Rockies. They are the thing that helps keep me hyper connected to back home. I always have the connection of friends and family, of course, but this is the thing that helps me kind of just tap into where I'm from. It's the thing that helps bring me back to my growing up, my childhood, my upbringing, and even in 100 lost seasons, watching Rockies baseball throughout the summer is critical to me. Even before the podcast, even before I was I was doing the show. And to have that taken away from me would be a disappointment that I really couldn't describe. It would be a weird one because of the relationship and the nature of sports and how much you really care. But there's a lot of people that have put a lot of time and support behind that baseball team that were just left behind in this. And that goes for Raiders fans as well. That goes for other teams that have seen their teams moved, you know, that have moved from other areas of other sports. It's really, really tough when you buy into this thing. You show your passion. You fill your end of the bargain as the sports fan, and the sports team turns their back on you. But can't deny, business is business. Got to make changes, got to make moves. It'll always be the case. Just because I'm a sentimental guy and I get my feel, and I would have my feelings hurt, and I you know, I get in my feels for sure. At the end of the day, money talks. Money matters. And that's what sports are at the end of the day. They're a business. Let's put a bow on this conversation and put out a call to action. It's what you Rockies fans think about what's been going on and your thoughts about the move here. Coming up in segment number 3. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. You can find your team every day. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. We are proud to be your first listen of the day. Shout outs to our everydayers out there still tuning in, catching Rockies podcast action throughout the off season. As you know, sometimes we need podcasts like this in the off season. It's a downtime. We don't have a lot of news. Gotta, you know, there's only so much we can always dive into the nuts and bolts, right? We'll still be reviewing our Rockies and such, but when big baseball news comes like this, we got to talk about it and we got to discuss. What are your thoughts on the A's relocation? What are your thoughts on the moving process? Are you in the camp of like me, more in the feels, more on the fan side? Feel like that there could have been more done by the powerful people in this situation, including the powerful people that run the A's? Or are you on the flip side where it's business is business? His team, he runs it his way. If he wants to go and see how the market and everything's going to work out in Vegas, he should be able to do that. Let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments below and tell me, would you ever be worried about how would you feel if you lost the Rockies? Because that's I think at the end of the day where I want to end this conversation. I haven't followed the story. I don't have every detail. I don't have all of the nuances. I haven't covered that. But I just wanted to kind of revisit and just emphasize the fact that sports are as powerful and important and as significant as they are because of the fans, because of the people that support, and because of the pride it gives them in their region or in that connection to their family member or their hometown. And while I know that was considered in this process, it truly doesn't feel like it was. This whole process just is dripping with the greed that is in between the cracks of sports fandom. This is the ugly side of the game. This is the business side of sports is a tough one. It's a complicated one. It's full of nuance. It's full of all sorts of different types of situations and different types of layers and elements. And it's the ugly side of sports. The A's move shows that sometimes sports are not just about the celebrations, the wins, the losses, the rosters. It's a lot. It's about a lot more than that. and a city has now lost another team, and the impact on that city is going to be felt. And it raises a whole other level of challenges, because now a team that didn't have a big fan base is going to a new place, a smaller market, when you really think about it, to try to reestablish one in potentially a smaller ballpark. I don't see how that was the better option. But I'm also not an owner. I'm also not an ultra wealthy person. I'm not a big business guy. I don't do a lot of business stuff. I'm not making the big deals. Not making the tough calls. But I do know that sports wouldn't be what they are without the passionate fans. And Oakland was full of passionate fans that did everything that they could to keep their team in town. And for every owner to be unanimous, for it to just be so easy, just reminds you of the ickiness of all of this. Maybe that's just a too lame of a word for you, but all of this just has a layer of sleaze to it that comes at the expense of the baseball fan. I mean, the Las Vegas A's don't have the legacy of the Oakland A's. I mean, I'm kind of a believer. I heard this too, where it's, if you move, that's your team. You shouldn't be able to revisit teams that you. I don't want to see a lot of throwback Oakland stuff from the Las Vegas A's. You know what I mean? Because they're the Vegas A's. Probably going to change their name too, right? The Aces, right? I think that's a AAA team already. Well, another complicated thing to introduce there. Oh no, I'm just ranting at this point. Sports are complicated. The business of sports are complicated. The decisions and the moves behind it are complicated. I just wanted to just kind of say this, because at the end of the day, I would be really hurt to lose my baseball team, no matter how bad the Colorado Rockies are. It would be a huge bummer to lose them. A big part of my life, a big part of my identity, a big part of my childhood, a big part of my upbringing, a big part of the foundational stuff of leading to things I enjoy, that would be taken away from me. It'd be really hard to root for the team that move after they move, because I wouldn't feel the same connection. And generations of Oakland A's fans are now feeling that and experiencing that, mixed in with already a complicated legacy and history from that team. But I guess at least celebrate that it happened. I don't know. But I feel for the A's fans out there today. I really, really do. And I just, it's a bummer to me. Is it a bummer to you? Are you worried about the Rockies leaving? Do you have Rockies hot takes? Well, let us know in the comment section below here on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. Your subscription to the Locked On Rockies podcast is one of the best ways to help the show grow. It is easy. It's easily the easy and simple way to help the show. You can check that out. You can find us on your favorite streaming service. And folks, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Hey, for your second listen, don't miss out on Locked On MLB, or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, check out the Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs podcast, all available for your entertainment on your favorite streaming service. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.